Good morning, everyone. It's Monday, March 2nd, 2020. Given the extraordinary market volatility that we've seen in equities and bonds, I thought I would come to you to give you my thoughts on where we go from here. Obviously, this has been a very difficult period of time, and what makes it very difficult is there really is no roadmap for where we go from here. But I want to make some key points here that I think are relevant to the current discussion in the marketplace. First of all, when fundamental analysis doesn't work, I turn to the technicals. And all measures of technical analysis are showing extremes that are coincident with a bottom in the stock market. I'll just cite that things like the put-call ratio in the 95th percentile for the last 4 days, the VIX volatility indicator is extraordinarily backwardated, meaning the front end is extraordinarily high relative to the future VIX. And also kind of the final sell-off phase I noted on Friday, which was selling the generals, if you will. All the stocks that had held up quite well up until that time were sold off, namely utilities and consumer staples. So those are all indications to me that we're probably at a short-term technical inflection point. We could see a rally. The second point I'd like to make is there's been a lot of talk about what the Federal Reserve might do. I think it's very likely that they are going to lower interest rates by 25 or perhaps 50 basis points. And I think more importantly, they're going to look for stresses in the financial system to make sure that liquidity continues to flow. So far, we've not seen material stresses in any of the credit markets or anything like that, but it's very important that in this slow period and period of extreme uncertainty, that capital remains available and is flowing properly. And to me, that's the biggest thing that the Federal Reserve can do at this time. They obviously can't make vaccines, but they can identify financial stresses as a result of the global contagion that has certainly gripped and created a lot of uncertainty and fear. I'd also like to add, while that's the monetary policy component, there are certain fiscal policy tools that can be enacted by the governments, not just in the United States, but around the world. Certainly, it makes a lot of sense to put more money in areas of healthcare and to get a vaccine and or therapies that can lessen the duration and the illness that are experienced by people. And then lastly, the great unknown for this is what type of recovery. And I'm just going to give you 3 letters, V, U, and L. Is this a V-shaped recovery, a U-shaped recovery, or an L-shaped recovery? I would say the lower probability outcomes are a V-shaped recovery or an L-shaped recovery. So the U-shaped recovery with what I know today is probably the more likely scenario. That means we're going to have a couple of quarters of subpar growth. And that's not just going to be in the United States, that's going to be a global phenomenon. The key thing is how long this all takes. I think what will be the area that I'll be focusing on will be the bond market. The bond market adjusted first, even before stocks realized there was a problem, and interest rates will likely begin to rise way before we see the end in sight on this. So in conclusion, I think we're at an intermediate bottoming process right now for stocks. I think interest rates are likely going to stay low. We're going to have more incidents of death and the spreading of this virus, unfortunately. But I do believe that there will also be clarity on how bad this virus is, how it affects people, and we're just learning more about it every single day. One thing I'd like to point out is, fortunately, Children don't seem to be carriers of the virus. I think that's extremely important since if my children were any clue, their hygiene when they're little kids is not the best, and they tend to be germ spreaders. So I think that that's one optimistic part of things about this virus that perhaps is somewhat different. If you have any questions, comments, or thoughts, please feel free to reach out to me. Thank you very much.
The information contained in this webcast reflects the views of Palisade Capital Management, LLC, as of the date of its original broadcast, and such views are subject to change without notice at any time. All information provided in this webcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered investment advice or recommendation to purchase or sell any specific security. While the information presented herein, including information obtained from third parties, is believed to be reliable, no warranty is made concerning the accuracy of such information. There can be no guarantee that any forecast discussed in this webcast will be realized. Consult your financial advisor before making any financial planning or investment decisions. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results.